hope they remember you.
I just can't. I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't even know how we're gonna do it.
I don't know. It's impossible.
I can't.
Welcome to Mojo at the Movies, where our brains are literally spread all over the floor. I'm Eric, and this is Manny, a director of Mojo at the Movies, and this is our spoiler-free review of Infinity War. What to say?
Words.
But first reactions.
My first reactions is this is everything I could have hoped for, and it is exactly what a superhero event film needs to be.
Okay, so that brings to mind two things. First of all, it's everything you would hope for, but is it what you expected?
All my expectations were turned on their head. Right. Everything I thought I knew was going to happen in this movie was literally almost 100% incorrect.
But maybe that's what makes it an event, right? Because
yes.
You know, we've come to expect, I think, you know, a lot, especially in the Marvel universe, we've come to expect how movies start and how they play out and how they end. And I think one thing is for sure, again, we can't say too much because this is spoiler-free, but this is setting us up to think it's going to go one way, and then you're just like, you come out of there just mind blown.
I think every time we get introduced to a new character, Marvel has created this formula of what makes a good superhero movie, especially what makes a good origin movie or a story where he kind of accepts to be the hero that he needs to be. And it's been always paint by numbers. We've got some good ones, we've got some passable ones, and then it's like, okay, I see what you guys are doing. So I guess after Avengers Age of Ultron being so similar to the first one.
And I didn't love Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I think fans were a bit like, is this going to be another, like, there's a problem and then we're going to fight everybody? And it is not that. It is something completely different. In my personal opinion, I think this is easily one of the best hero movies ever made.
Ever made.
And
okay.
A lot of that is because of the solid cast in this movie.
Well, I mean, you're literally talking about an ensemble cast. Talk about a bunch of A-listers. I mean, you know, you throw all these guys together. But what's more interesting to me than the actual acting is the characterization, is how you're taking these characters who each have their own story arc, their own narrative, and they're all dovetailing in the strangest ways. And you're having the four corners of this universe coming together so that, you know, Thor is interacting with Star-Lord and, Doctor Strange
is interacting with Tony Stark.
Yeah, and that's a really cool dynamic right there.
And I feel the way they brought the cosmic element and the magic element in this movie, because Thor is a very magical universe, but the way they built it up, and I find the Thor movies don't get enough respect, is that the Thor movies were the perfect bridge to kind of bring those two worlds together. So like, oh, magic is actually part of science, and science is also led into magic. Like this whole mythology they've built up in the movies. And I think that's what helps this whole story arc unfold properly, because it can go from something as the Earth is in peril to as much as the entire galaxy is in peril.
Right, exactly. It gets much more galactic than it ever has before, and that obviously, you know, you've got characters like the Guardians of the Galaxy this time who are joining the Avengers, or who are now part of the larger universe, and Doctor Strange. I have to say about Guardians of the Galaxy, they were my absolute favorite parts of this movie. Because they bring the humor. And so what we started to see in Ragnarok and in the two Guardians of the Galaxy movies, that sense of humor was really strong in this movie.
And all the characters are given the right amount of time to shine in their respective powers, in their character arcs.
Right, exactly.
I mean, what characters are taking care of what is really looked upon in this movie as like, okay, he is Captain America, he is a super soldier, but this is where he'll be the biggest asset, just like the way Iron Man is the biggest asset in this sort of environment. There's not much we could say, because like anything you say about this movie is going to reveal all the plots.
Right, we don't want to get into that.
So we don't want to get into that, but I just find that the Russo brothers did such an amazing job in terms of a directing duo that also had a hand in writing and modifying the script, because they're taking 10 years of stories and they're giving us one movie where it all has to make sense. And this is a movie that a small crash course in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is absolutely necessary, Because from the second the movie starts, it is no holds barred till the end of this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is something else.
Stakes is high.
The stakes are high in this one.
Higher than they've ever been. And again,
think,
it's so hard to do this without revealing anything, but like big things happen that have huge consequences.
Huge consequences. And what this film does actually changes the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what it does. So there's a big statement, something crazy happens.
The end. Okay, so at the end, both Manny and I were just like, and we can't even say what, we can't even say. But trust me when I say that when you see this movie at the end, you know, so long as nobody spoils it for you, you're gonna be like, I don't understand. How does this happen? How does a movie end like this? And you know, what happens next?
It really leaves that question to what happens next. Where is the cinematic universe taking us? We've spent 10 years with these characters. We've spent 10 years invested in this. A lot of people are saying it's basically becoming like a great TV show that each episode is 2 hours instead of one.
That's
but
true, yeah.
It's something that it just shows when you plan hard enough and you have an overarching storyline to where all these little stories kind of happen, but it helps move forward the greater scheme of things. And when it's so well executed and just the actors, all the actors in this movie, you believe that they're these heroes. When something happens to them, when something happens to somebody else, you feel that pain and you feel that joy of something working and something not working. You're just like...
Well, yes, it's very easy to invest in each individual storyline as well as how they all interact. Let me ask you about Thanos, because, you know, talk about your... you know, supervillain.
Yeah.
This is Josh Brolin does a great job of personifying this galactic.
And villain. I just got to give a huge shout out to the effects team that animated this guy, because he looks real. The way he interacts, the way the light hits him, the way he picks stuff up.
It's a great line that Star-Lord says to him that we can't give away. But
it's so well executed. Like, everything in this movie, the overall look, there's something there that wasn't there in the other movies. I don't know if it's just like, right now we just got out of the theater, so I may be overselling it, maybe I'm overhyping it, I don't know. We'll see more when we talk about it in our spoiler review, but there is something wacky going on here. Like, this is, I don't know, I felt like I was a kid again.
Well, at one point, Manny, you did have a tear in your eye, and it wasn't because of anything sad.
I did have a tear in my eye.
Yeah.
It was just...
What was that from?
I think it's from the overall, it was just...
You were overcome with emotion.
I was overcome with emotion to like, this is what I wanted the movie to be. And I'm so happy that I'm sitting in the theater and they gave me what I wanted as a fan. Hats off to you, Marvel. Like, really, you got to me, man. You got to me. This is, for me, growing up with comics and these characters, when I had a tough time, you know, just reading through these pages of these books and kind of relating to these characters in like a weird type of way. Like, this is, I don't know, it transcends cinema for me. This is something else.
So what comes next? That's the big question.
What comes next?
That ending, you know, like I said, brains on the floor, minds blown. They're going to have a lot of explaining to do.
They're going to have a lot of explaining to do.
Stay tuned for our spoiler review, which is coming out this weekend. And for now, I'll just say, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Thanks.
Evacuate the city. Engage all defenses. And get this man a shield.